for me, first and foremost, is to make a beautiful picture. But if it's just purely aesthetic experience, it's not good enough. That beauty needs to be undercut with this kind of undercurrent of something psychological or dangerous or something desirous or fearful. Ultimately, I want it to all become one world upon itself.
I think Gregory is a very important figure within the history of photography. I think he has shifted the language of photography significantly in the past decade. Gregory creates his very, very elaborate setups by taking on the mechanics of cinema. Recently, there were a group of 60 people working with him. Everyone from actresses to makeup artists, people getting the exact color of moss to paint onto the scene in a wood. I mean, everything is highly, highly sophisticated and very meticulously thought through.
Like he's going to be sort of standing right in front.
His interest in the cinematic, his interest in the uncanny and the psychoanalytic made evident in his highly, highly composed, very rich, beautiful images is unique.
So we're on the outskirts of Pittsfield, where we're planning a photograph that's going to center around this abandoned house. Do you think we could get it out of there? I had an idea of making a picture where our house is on fire. There's going to be about 10 sort of adolescent kids who are just walking up the train tracks, all of them in their own little world, and then there's just one who's sort of looking up at the burning house. When we're shooting, sometimes we take 2 or 3 days to prepare. It seems quite leisurely. I think that's going to be like our lead position right there. But when we reach that window, it becomes quite crazy. From now until when we shoot, which will be early evening, it will be gaffer and electric team staging their lights. They'll be finalizing the fire plan. You guys are just wandering through the landscape. It'll be me meeting with the 12 actors who all are apprentices at Williamstown College. Staging them at 4 o'clock. Okay, so that's your position, and you're just looking down at our feet like that. And you're going to be the guy looking at the fire. Okay. And would you mind taking your shirt off when you do the picture? Okay. Okay, let's see your position. Okay, number 3 should be looking down a little bit. Okay, now take a step back toward her a little bit. Okay, perfect. There should be theoretically a point where everything comes together, you know. It is like a strange organism in a certain sense that sort of takes on its own life.
It's about a couple hours before the picture, and Rick Sands, director of photography, he's on a walkie-talkie, and all of his crew, 15 members of his crew, are in various positions by their lights.
It's 80 feet up. I love it.
Okay, turn on the fire and the smoke.
That's fine. Cut it back, Nathaniel. Cut it back, cut it back, cut it back, cut it back.
He does? No, he don't cut. That is so beautiful.
Okay.
Fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. What? He does? No, he don't. So
Here we go.
Clear frame.
Clear frame.
This is for actors. Let's see. Okay, let me look at everyone's position.
Let's see positions.
Okay, so
Yeah, good cut.
9 should now sort of pivot her body or her body towards the burning house. And then look at, okay, perfect. Okay, good. Let's start shooting.
Okay, good.
Through the 1 hour period where we're shooting, Rick is on the walkie-talkie communicating with his crew, making constant refinements on the light.
Okay.
Okay, position.
And hold.
Hold.
Okay, do it again.
Cut, going again. We're gonna go again.
What at 32?
Stay at 15? No, further, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Position and hold.
Hold.
Sweet.
Sweet.
You got prime
Des,
time
can you
now.
bar endorse some of that hot stuff in the foreground?
Okay, position
Position.
and hold.
Hold.
Again, Rico. Up full.
Okay.
Going again.
As we shoot, as the sun continues to go down, our lights start overwhelming the ambient light.
And shooting.
Shooting.
Is that a wrap?
Yep.
That's
a wrap. That's a wrap.
Obviously, we go through an enormous amount
Great.
of time and energy to make a picture. Everything from the lights that we use to the post-production.
You got the fire element. They're beautiful flames, aren't they?
They are very, very nice.
Yeah.
Short exposure.
Basically, Gregory comes in and we sit around together. We look at all the contact sheets. At no time can I remember where we had one negative that he'd shot and that became the final photograph. They're collaged in Photoshop from different shots of the same picture, piecing together a building which looks perfect with maybe another image for the perfect expression on somebody's face.
What I think we should do is maybe hold these for now and just work with this and see how it goes.
You know, when we're working, I look around and I really do sometimes wonder how this all happened. Like, I feel like, wow, what happened here? You know, how did this happen? You know, because it happened very organically. It's, you know, started small and slowly built up.
I think Gregory's process has become more and more elaborate over the years. But right from the beginning of his career, he has been very interested in the dark side. In an early photograph, he talks about where he asked a woman to lie on the floor of her apartment whilst he took a photograph. So right from the beginning, he's been concerned with creating this very uncanny moment.
The earliest work, in 1988, I was making photographs by myself around Lee, Massachusetts, and Pittsfield, in people's houses and neighborhoods. And then I, for many years, worked in my studio making these sort of tableaus that dealt with the suburban landscape. And then I started a series of photographs called Hover. I started photographing from the perspective of an aerial crane. Twilight was like the first body of work that really, you know, I think put everything together. Twilight was the first time where we used cinematic lighting, which was the huge shift in the work. When it became possible for me to use lights in a much more sort of choreographed way where we could put a light halfway down a block, it's using light to not only establish a world, but also to tell a story. To tell the story through light and color.
Gregory came of age at a moment in the early 90s when there was a big sea change in contemporary art, with dramatic narrative, psychological narrative becoming very important for artists. And Gregory articulates that shift that took place almost more than any other artist I can think of. And he gave artists permission to explore the psychological within photography in a very theatrical way, in a cinematic sense.
A lot of the images that I come up with when I just allow sort of images to come up to the surface. Mostly it's me driving around by myself for days on end. Just drive around looking for ordinary sort of nondescript locations. That's kind of a lonely experience too. But then when you see something that feels right, where I respond to the architecture and the setting, that's very, very important. I found this very beautiful building. It's now abandoned. When I first went there, there was a little hole looking into the adjoining apartment. The more we worked with the carpenters and opened it up, the more we realized that this could be a fantastic set.
This stays.
Right.
Then you'll be able to see into that room.
Get rid of the closet wall.
Yeah. Take the ceiling out and you can see into that room. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should feel like this room's going to be his own little universe. Like, and we're going to have all stuff, you know, all this stuff. Okay. It's going to be like stuff on the floor. You know.
Here.
That's basically how this whole production works. Looking at something, thinking about it, and like, and I thought of this. There's this great actor we've used once before named William Sadler, who's, you know, extraordinary. He has the sort of best presence, and I was like, well, this is for him.
We need to get it off. We need to get it off.
We need to get it.
Here, let's just keep doing that. That's what we need.
It's the end of a long and checkered career. Yeah, copy.
Now go down a little bit. Yeah, and just hold it.
Down.
Yeah.
Down.
Sort of more resigned. Yeah. Okay, come this. Go this way a little bit.
I go up here and rest.
Yeah.
Come. Settle down. Looking down and then looking up is what.
Perfect. Keep doing that. Yeah.
Brings me up to. Brings me.
Down to speed.
Well, it brings me out of this world. You know what I mean? It sort of grounds me.
What's beneath the floorboard is some possibility of comfort or redemption. It's like something unattainable on the other side of that, you know? Okay.
Hey.
All right. All right. And position. It's good. A little bit more. Okay. 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 Open mouth slightly. And despair. Keep that. There you go. Right there. Position. And hold. Good. This was a tough one because it's very hot and claustrophobic in there, and it's very hard to see what we're actually doing. But so I feel exhausted but relieved, and you know, and I feel like a little of that despair and sadness in the picture. You know, there's an after taste of that too.
I think Gregory is a very complex person. He's very good at bringing a team of people together and working with them and bringing out the best in them.
This was great.
He's very warm, he's very open.
When we did that last
But I do think he's also very interested in the dark side and in a kind of psychological complexity.
So so that's the reason we did this. So give me that.
Gregory's father was a psychoanalyst, and Gregory talks about a moment in his teenagehood when he used to listen in through the floorboards to his father as his father worked with his patients, because his father worked at home. And that, of course, is a classic psychoanalytic moment.
There's a photograph that I'd made on a soundstage of a young boy in a bathroom who's sticking his hand down the drain. I wasn't conscious of it, but then I thought, God, that's almost like myself as a young boy, where I used to attempt. I never really heard anything but listen to what's going on beneath the surface.
The psychoanalytical aspects of Gregory's work are very influenced by his father, who was a very important figure for Gregory and took Gregory to an exhibition of Diane Arbus photographs, which so inspired Gregory right at the beginning.
My work comes very much out of what I see as a kind of American sensibility or a tradition. For instance, the paintings of Edward Hopper, who deals with a similar kind of American vernacular, a similar kind of emptiness. I'm very, very much influenced by like the photographs of Walker Evans. His interest in the American vernacular of ordinary life, of indigenous architecture, creating very simply, in a kind of documentary style, a kind of symmetry out of that, a perfect order. I feel like in my work I have a similar thing, this kind of controlling aesthetic to make a perfect facade, and then sort of the deep undercurrents of that, what exists beneath the surface.
Gregory's genius, I think, is to insert that highly charged, strange anxiety, a sense of a moment just having erupted or something very disturbing about to take place. If you could freeze a moment in your dream and really look at it in detail and go into every aspect of it, you almost feel that that would be what you would find, one of Gregory's images.
It's my own psychological universe. North Street in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, feels like it's very much out of that same world. It feels familiar. It feels timeless, but it also feels emptied out, and there's a lot of sort of aimless people wandering back and forth. I wanted to capture that in the picture.
All right. The image that we're working with, we're looking down Main Street. There's no traffic whatsoever in the street. And there's a lone car, which is a nondescript car. And then there's a woman sitting alone in the passenger seat of the car. And the car is placed in the middle of the street. And there's no driver. And the driver's side door is open. So there is this sort of small story being told, which is, why is the woman sitting in the passenger seat of the car alone in the middle of this vast main street? Just want to, this is the one possibility, so we just want you to sit in the passenger seat of this car. We're working with Jennifer Jason Leigh in this photograph, who's an actor who I very much admire, who I think has something in her character, her persona, that could both reflect that loneliness, a sense of quiet loneliness, and also inhabit the landscape. So this, you look so great. We went through enormous amount of time and energy to light up the entire street. So we have over 100 lights working on this picture.
Upstage slack from 2 and 3.
Add more. You really see what they're doing, can you tell?
Hit that wall a little bit in this end. So take this one over here and hello.
Should be a very sort of beautiful and mysterious picture. Very quiet in terms of its narrative tone, but also operatic in a certain sense in terms of the scale of the picture. Just a touch on this side, I don't know if we want to...
It's a picture that I've wanted to do for a very long time, so there's a great sense for me of anticipation.
I showed him where it is if it's just plugged into that one Whatever one's fine.
That's good. That's good. Can you rotate that closer to number 2?
Oh yeah. This fucking rocks.
Okay, Dee, they're starting the wet down now.
I'm going to have you start looking this way, and then once I'm in the camera, I'm just going to slowly have you look counterclockwise until I find your sweet spot.
Okay.
And then once we get it, we got it. I mean, there's like no, and just put your hands just like on your, just whatever, just what's comfortable. It's like all of a sudden this man's disappeared, but you're not really reacting. It's just like almost nothing, okay? All right. Good luck. Okay, here we go. And fog it up. Other way. There you go. Okay, have Jennifer just look a little bit away from camera now.
Jennifer can look a little bit away from camera.
Okay. Fog looks good. Nice, and then that's beautiful. Try looking slightly up.
Slightly.
It was interesting because there was a group of sort of onlookers who watched the entire thing from beginning to end. Almost Spielbergian moment with all the onlookers just like looking on. Almost like a kind of spiritual thing, you know? It's like light as a kind of illumination. I think it's transfixing, really, you know?
Just very slightly towards camera. Keep going. Keep going more. The whole head, not the eyes. Position and hold. Okay.
It's like painting with light. So light becomes a kind of narrative code to tell a story,
At 32?
where you feel connected to sort of the private moment of the woman in the car.
Position and hold.
We've entered into another world, the world of my photographs.
Can I see it?
30 seconds out.
This is prime time. Just quickly. Position and hold. That's a wrap.
Thanks a lot.
There's so many highs and lows. I mean, highs and lows.
So beautiful. You're done.
I am, really?
Perfect. It was beautiful.
Fast.
Give me a hug.
Great.
If you don't mind.
Thank
Fantastic.
You. That was really
Beautiful. Do you see the beautiful, what's going on back?
so incredible.
Hey, you guys, that was the most beautiful, spectacular, perfect picture I've ever seen. Yes, I don't know.
It was all Sarah.
It's all there.
Next to last week's.
Fantastic. Oh my God.
And haven't had a chance to do yet. And I just blurted out, I want to build a wooden boat.